is personal for me. I really feel that Gilani-shaped hole in my universe, and it is obviously, I met him through the trials of what happened in the Parliament attack. In fact, I actually happened to be in prison myself in 2001 at the same time when Afzal Gilani, Shaukat, and also Shaukat's wife, Afsan Guru, was in jail in Tihar in the same block as me. She was pregnant and she was, she was being treated so badly by the other prisoners. And she was just out of her mind. She just didn't know what she was doing there. Like, she really had no idea. And I just kept saying to her, कि मैं कल बाहर जा रही हूँ, I'll be going out tomorrow. Can I help you? Is there a lawyer? Do you need to send a message? And she just looks at me with these blank eyes and says, मेरे पास तौलिया नहीं है. I don't have a towel. Can you just leave your towel for me? It somehow haunted me for years, that moment. But I just want to say, Rais is talking about Hani Babu and Gilani, and we are speaking here on the format of Dalit Camera, in the platform of Dalit Camera. See, this is a very important thing right now, because this is what the elite of this country, the establishment of this country, and the state of this country fears the most. Hani Babu and Gilani, and now you, Rais, in your bodies you contain the crosshairs of the solidarities that should be made. The solidarities of people who are being oppressed by a particular vision. And Gilani was somebody who, the reason I admired him so much was, I remember being in so many meetings. We were together in so many meetings, and I know what his beliefs were. His belief in Islam, his belief in the independence of Kashmir, but he was there without compromising those beliefs to stand in solidarity with the displacement of Adivasis or the fight against Operation Green Hunt. And this was a grace, and this was a vision, and this was a kind of politics which we really, really need to carry forward. It's the same thing with Hani Babu. You see, that man, in him, he contains radical politics, and that is why we fear him. If you look at what's happening today, what is it about the Bhima Koregaon arrests? What was it about the Parliament attack? And what is it about the 2020 Delhi massacre and these massive rounds of arrests that are being made? As long as people are fighting within their own silos for themselves, the state and no state has a problem. When Martin Luther King was assassinated, he was assassinated because he made the connections between racism, war, and capitalism. Similarly over here, if you look at why are they so uptight about Bhima Koregaon, because they see the coming together of various points of views and ideologies who are learning to fight together. Similarly in Delhi, if you look at the police charge sheet in Delhi, you see what is their fear. They are saying Muslims are reading Ambedkar's constitution. Oh, that's just a cover, because Muslims are actually only jihadis. So constitution reading is a cover. Muslim women have come out. Oh, that's just to give them gender cover. Non-Muslims are coming out in support of Muslims. Oh, that is just secular cover. Because at the core of it, the state wants to portray all Muslims as jihadis. So the understanding and the conversations, even that moment that Shujato Sahab was talking about in 2010, what was it that made them so frightened? What made them threatened? It was the coming together of people from Punjab, of people from the Northeast, people speaking about a kind of politics that completely cracks open this privileged caste Hindutva narrative. And that can only be cracked open by these alliances, That can only be cracked open when people say colonialism didn't end when the British went away. There was a colonialism before it that continues to this day. So The parliament attack, I mean, some of us have written extensively on it. I remember when I wrote an essay called "And His Life Should Be Made Extinct," which was a quote from the Supreme Court judgment sentencing Afzal Guru to several life imprisonments and several death sentences. And the atmosphere created in this country, created by a media which was toxic then and is now infinitely more toxic. You know, I remember the editor of Outlook who never ever questioned me when I handed in some piece of writing. He told me, "Arundhati, please don't do this. This, I'm begging you, don't write this." I said, "Why?" He said, "Because it's just going to, you know, the atmosphere is too toxic, it's too terrifying." So I said, "Isn't that when we're meant to stand up?" And sure enough, you know, the first letter that came in was "Spare Afzal Guru and hang Arundhati Roy." And as we know, both the political parties, the Congress and the BJP sort of threatened the Congress into the fear of their election campaign, which was "Desh Abhi Sharminda Hai, Afzal Abhi Bhi Zinda Hai." And so it was, let's never forget, that the Congress party that actually carried out that judicial murder of Afzal Guru. But the parliament attack holds many lessons in terms of how they, I mean, it was not an attack on the parliament, actually, it was the establishment's attack on us. How do you put forward a absolutely unbelievable narrative and then force everybody to believe it? To believe that 5 terrorists drove into parliament with a bloody billboard saying India is a very bad country and we hate Vajpayee, you know, starting from there. Nothing added up, nothing. And till today, till this day, we do not know what that attack was about. We know that Afzal pointed his finger at Davinder Singh, spoke about how he was tortured, and Davinder Singh came on TV and boasted about pouring petrol into Afzal's anus. And the senior policemen and the senior TV anchors who were on that show only applauded him for it because he poured petrol into a Kashmiri man's anus for the sake of the nation. You know, and we are still in a country that refuses to ratify the International Convention Against Torture. So we are in a situation now where that false narrative has multiplied itself manifold. So we are in the era of the open FIR, where anybody can be added to any conspiracy. It's an open door in the judicial system. Everybody can be added in. The journalists who lied about Gilani so blatantly are still working in the media. They're still being promoted. They're still drawing their corporate salaries. And even though, you know, the questions that the Defense Committee, as well as many of us who wrote about this parliament attack, asked question after question. There were 13 open questions. Those questions have never been answered. And yet we are now in a situation where there are many more conspiracies being fed to us. And the defense committees themselves are being criminalized. The defense committee for the release of Professor Sai Baba, on which Heni Babu was, on which Rona was, on which PV was, I think, on which I certainly am, on which Sanjay Kak is. A recent NIA charge sheet, one of the crimes that Heni Babu has been accused of is that he was on the defense committee. One of the crimes Rona has been accused of is working for the legal defense of political prisoners. How is this a crime? You know? So to me, it is a wonderful thing and a wonderful platform and a very important political platform on which to gather to remember Gilani with the fire of our politics and with the warmth of our friendship. and with the strength of our solidarity, because we cannot ever forget, because one day this story will be told the way it should be told, the way it has to be told. One day, all the people who are gathered here, one day we will be, we will triumph, one day.